right, guys, welcome into the Sports Podcast, Season 1, Episode 11, Week 9, NFL Power Rankings and Games. I am your host, Big Nate, aka Always Triggered. Guys, I want to thank you, the YouTube's community, for doing the liking, the subscribing, the commenting. I appreciate it. Let me know down below when you comment if you have any suggestions for content that you want me to maybe expand on or talk about in the podcast, because simply, I enjoy making football content. I love talking about football. But I do not make these videos to watch them myself. I edit them enough already. I make these videos for others. So if you guys want something different, please let me know. I'll try to accommodate it as best as I can. All right. Now, we know what we do when we talk about my sports podcast the way it is right now. We do teams 32-1 in my unique 3-segment style with the top 10 teams, rounding out the end of that. We've got the Week 9 game slate for you, so you know where all the teams are playing this weekend, and the top 5 games of the week, so you know what games are on my radar. So let's go right into the basement. Team 32 is the Detroit Lions. Team 31, Houston Texans. 30, Jacksonville Jaguars. 29, New York Giants. 28, Washington Football Team. 27, Denver Broncos. 26, Miami Dolphins. 25, the New York Jets. 24 is the Carolina Panthers. 23, the Philadelphia Eagles. 22, Atlanta Falcons. And 21, Indianapolis Colts. So I wanted to start off with the NFC East and the teams that they played against. You have teams like Washington Football Team and Denver Broncos. They played each other in what was one of the most awful games to watch. I do not recommend anyone watch the highlights to that game. The Washington Football Team, we're going to start with them at Team 28. They had 2 blocked field goals, 2 interceptions, 5 sacks. They're 2-6. You really got to question where they're looking to go from here. I don't believe anyone in the upper management offices of the Washington Football Team thought this team after 8 weeks was going to be 2-6. I personally think they have a lot of soul searching to do here in their bye week. Another team they play, the Denver Broncos, did not play much better, turning the ball over themselves, especially at the end of the game. They pretty much wanted to give the game away to the Washington Football Team, but they didn't. The Denver Broncos started out 3-0 this year. They do get the win, but it was not impressive. They do go play the Dallas Cowboys this week coming up. Now, the New York Giants, we can talk about them. They are Team 29. Not only are they dealing with injuries, they hung tough with the Chiefs, and you can definitely appreciate the fight they had there. Now their backs are up against the wall. They have a COVID outbreak potentially happening. Their running back coach had COVID. Saquon Barkley tested positive. He's getting retested to see if he can play. It's not looking good for the Giants there. They might be missing quite a few players come Sunday. The Philadelphia Eagles, they played a really good game. They ran really well. 236 total rushing yards. The Lions had 57. Yes, the Lions are an awful team, ranked at the bottom of my ranking. But the Eagles were impressive, giving up 0 sacks, 0 turnovers. And that's how you beat a bad team. And I know there was a lot of jokes about the watering and the fertilizing. I loved those jokes personally. I thought Sirianni was hilarious. Even though I don't believe he intended to be hilarious, I found it very funny. It obviously worked, but I'll tell you what, they're going to need more fertilizer and water when they play a team like the Chargers coming up here this weekend. Now, they are at home, so that's an advantage to the Eagles. Other teams I wanted to talk about down here, the Colts. You got to talk about them. They just got back down in the basement. Unfortunately, everyone's talking about that Carson Wentz flipping the ball from his right hand to his left hand, throwing an interception for a touchdown. It was pretty comical. If you haven't seen that one, you definitely should check that out. I don't know where the heck you get that from as a quarterback. That's the probably the absolute last thing you want to do or teach in any quarterback. Wanted to talk about the volatility of the basement. The basement's very volatile for the sense that none of these teams have a lot of wins. So you can really shake up where you are down here based on just winning one game. And especially, or even losing a game, but showing that maybe you play better or worse than maybe what your record says. For example, like the Jets, who played really well with Mike White. But just to show you how volatile it is down here in the basement. All right. Next up, we have the Fringe. We got the Seattle Seahawks at 20, the Chicago Bears at 19, the Minnesota Vikings are team 18, Cleveland Browns are 17, Pittsburgh Steelers at team 16. Team 15 is the New Orleans Saints. At 14, we have the New England Patriots, 13, the Kansas City Chiefs, 12, the San Francisco 49ers, and 11, the Las Vegas Raiders. I wanted to go ahead and start off talking about the San Francisco 49ers because how can you not? I moved them 7 spots up on my board. They really stick to what they believe in, so I have to give them a lot of respect there. Jimmy G was excellent at getting the ball into their speed players. One of them broke for a huge touchdown, and that definitely helps them. And when they stick to what they believe in, they do play a really good brand of football. So I was very impressed with the 49ers. They do have Arizona coming in. That should be a good divisional matchup, but a hard game for them nonetheless because the Cardinals are coming off a loss. Now, the team they played against, the Bears, no lie, guys, the 49ers won simply because they made plays at the end of that game to win. The Bears dominated the 49ers pretty much the entire game, over 3/4. Justin Fields went 19 for 27 for 175 yards through the air, but he also carried the ball 10 times for 103 yards. That's over 10 yards a clip, which was phenomenal. If you watch that tape, what you'll see is Justin Fields has the footwork that is Lamar Jackson-esque. He is able to move in the pocket and get out of trouble and make moves on the football field that you really don't expect any other player to really do. I would say maybe Kyler, Lamar, and Justin, they all have a very special ability to really do things that get them out of some really sticky situations. And it just makes for exciting football. It makes the game more even. It's 11 on 11. I know that might sound cliche, but it really is true. When the quarterback can do those kinds of things, it puts way too much pressure on the defense. And it was a good showing by the Niners to hold, but I thought Justin Fields played one of his best games. Anytime you can get almost 200 yards in the air and over 100 on the ground, good for you. Now, they do play Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football. That's going to be a challenge for them, but should be a good game. We'll get more into that here in just a second. Now, I wanted to talk about Geno Smith. I thought he did excellent pulling his team out of the basement. The line for him in that game, 20 for 24, 195, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's phenomenal. Very efficient game. Very impressed with what he could do. He went 8.1 yards per attempt. Now, if you don't know what that means, or how to read that in a box stat, some people may think 8 yards is not a lot. It is. When you average 8.1 yards attempt, what I saw on tape with Geno, he was throwing 10-yard, 15-yard dig routes, routes out to the sideline. He was on point going into the bye week like they did. Very impressive. Now, Cleveland, wanted to speak about them. They dropped 6 spots. They're just beat up. They are injuries on injuries. Odell Beckham now is sitting out with his father and the tweets. You can tell he's disgruntled. Cleveland wants to move on without him. They're going to try to move him. They weren't able to get a trade in before the trade deadline. So we'll see where Odell Beckham ends up, but it looks like his days with Cleveland are done. New Orleans, they had a huge win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but still sit at 15, right in the middle of everything in the league. Now, the reason why simply is Teddy's out for the rest of the year. He had that horse collar tackle against him and tore an ACL. He's going to be gone, and I really wish him well. News came out that Michael Thomas will miss the rest of the year as well. The Saints are really taking the bad news on the chin. Patriots. The Patriots played a phenomenal game in SoFi against the Chargers. What a big win. I wanted to talk about Matthew Judon's stat line. He led his team in solo tackles. He had 4 of them. Tackles for loss, he had 1. QB pressures with 2. And sacks. He had 1.5 sacks. So very impressive line there for Matthew Judon, who's done nothing but contribute to this team since being picked up in free agency. A very impressive move by the New England Patriots, a franchise that typically doesn't pick up players in free agency. To see one be so productive on their defense definitely gives them an identity and makes for opposing offenses. It gives them a hell of a headache, I'll tell you that. Let's go ahead and go right over to my top 10 teams in the NFL. At number 10, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. Terrible performance against the Jets. They were outgained by 200 yards. The good news for the Bengals, they get a good turnaround here. They get to play a divisional opponent in the Browns, and a divisional opponent that's hurt at that. So a win at home against the Browns will go a long way. Number 9, the LA Chargers. And they played the Patriots this week. They lost that game. I thought it was going to be a tough game. I didn't expect the Chargers to lose. They didn't do well on 3rd down, going 4 for 12. They had 2 turnovers. They lost time of possession. Their next team is the Eagles. I think they're going to go 5-3. It'd be hard pressed for me to believe that they'll go down to 4-4. Number 8, the Tennessee Titans. They lost Derrick Henry, who's going to get surgery to get a screw put into his foot. There is no timetable for his return. I am impressed with the Titans, however. They are a very strong team. I thought they're the second best team in the conference with Derrick Henry, so they don't move down too far, still staying in the top 10. It would be a great time for a guy like Julio Jones to kind of put his stamp on the Tennessee Titans career that he's going to have here, because they definitely wanted him to add to this offense, and without Derrick Henry, they're going to need him to start producing. Number 7, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the champs lost that game to the Saints. Tough matchup. They lost twice to the Saints in the regular season last year before beating them in the playoffs. Bucks do get a bye week, and on the other side of the bye week, they play Washington, which is a rematch of the NFC wildcard game from last year. I would imagine the Buccaneers are going to focus more on their run game. Part of the problem last week, they were not balanced, and they turned over the balls. I would expect them to put a focus on that coming out of the bye, especially with a guy like Tom Brady. Number 6, the Arizona Cardinals. The 2 things stood out to me when in the Cardinals loss, and that was the fact that their defense allowed 151 rushing yards and the fact that the Cardinals turned the ball over 3 times. I don't expect the Cardinals to keep doing things like that. They do play a divisional game coming up here this week, and they'll look to bounce back in that one. We'll go more into that game in just a moment as well. Number 5, the Green Bay Packers. They played a great game on the ground. They outrushed the Cardinals 151-74. The run game allowed Aaron Rodgers to be efficient, and I thought the Packers played extremely well. They've been playing really good ball recently, the Packers have. I don't know how sustainable it is. I still have questions about their defense. I do know that they are heading over to play Kansas City this week, and I thought that was going to be an excellent matchup. However, Aaron Rodgers is positive with COVID, so he's going to miss the game, which is going to be a huge blow to how much hype that game had about it. Number 4, Baltimore Ravens. They had a great bye week. They got to watch everyone in the division get all pushed together because the entire division is within 1 win of each other. We'll see how it plays out from here, but the Baltimore Ravens look pretty good at 4. Number 3, the Dallas Cowboys. Gutty performance. They played with a backup quarterback, Cooper Rush, and the Cowboys, you really can see what the roster has for them. I mean, Cooper, Lamb, both receivers went for over 100 yards. Zeke makes the play of the game. Their defensive pieces that they got definitely improved. I mean, they allowed 1 first down in the beginning of the game, and from then on, the Vikings went 0 for 12. So, the Broncos, you got your work cut out for you. If the Cowboys defense continues to play like they're playing, they're going to be tough. Number 2, the Buffalo Bills. So that game got dicey early with the Dolphins. However, I can tell that time off for the Bills is not the best. They struggled in the beginning of the year when they played the Steelers and lost that game. And if they messed around with the Dolphins, they could have lost the game on Sunday as well. Now, they did win. They look strong. They do play another game here against a weak opponent in Jacksonville coming up. I don't expect them to lose that game. They should keep on rolling. I think the more they play, the better they are. Number 1, the LA Rams. So very easy day at the office. They destroyed the Texans. Matthew Stafford went for 305 yards and 3 touchdowns. He had 127.7 QB rating. And my favorite part of the Rams is whenever they're beating you, they don't slow down. They just lay it on you. So I really enjoy watching that style of football too. Here's my top 10. All right, so we'll go ahead and get you the Week 9 game slate here. As always, we kick you off on Thursday at 8:20 with the New York Jets and Indianapolis Colts. Sunday's 1 p.m. games include the Cleveland Browns at Cincinnati Bengals, the Denver Broncos at Dallas Cowboys, Houston Texans at Miami Dolphins, Atlanta Falcons at New Orleans Saints, the Las Vegas Raiders at the New York Giants, the New England Patriots at the Carolina Panthers. Buffalo is heading over to Jacksonville to play the Jags, and Minnesota goes to Baltimore to play the Ravens. Now, the 4:05 game, you have the LA Chargers at Philadelphia Eagles. 4:25, you have 2 games, the Green Bay Packers at Kansas City Chiefs, and the Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers. 8:20, that Sunday night game, Tennessee at the LA Rams. And then Monday night, the Chicago Bears play the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got 4 teams on bye week this week. They include the Detroit Lions, Seattle Seahawks, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Washington Football Team. I'll leave that up here for a hot second. You can take a look at the game slate. And let's go ahead and roll right on in to my top 5 games of the week. At number 5, I have the Bears-Steelers. So that Monday night game should be very exciting. Two teams that aren't necessarily extremely strong contenders in their respective conferences. However, a Monday night game in Pittsburgh with Justin Fields on the national stage is one in which I am very much so going to enjoy watching. Number 4, the Cardinals and 49ers. So divisional matchup here. Cardinals coming off a loss. 49ers look like they've been improving week after week now, and we should see a good game there in Santa Clara. Number 3, the Packers and Chiefs. So even without Aaron Rodgers, going to be interesting to see what Jordan Love can do with the Packers. The Chiefs are very much not a good team. Can they stop turning the ball over and actually get an impressive win? We will find out on Sunday. Number 2, the Browns and Bengals. So in-state matchup here between rivals, and one in which the Browns are all beat up and hurt, are heading over to the Bengals, who are kind of bruised with their ego, losing to the Jets there. So two teams that lost in the division, going to be a good battle there in Cincinnati. And the number 1 game of the week, the Titans and Rams. Anytime you have two teams in my top 10 battling out, they're probably going to end up on this board. And I think even without Derrick Henry, that game should be very interesting. I hope Julio Jones gets going. I want to see what the Titans can do without Derrick Henry. Can they prove to be just as tough as the Rams? You know Mike Vrabel wants them to be, and I think that game should be excellent watch. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 games of the week. As always, guys, I want to thank you for watching. I really think you guys are totally the best people out there. Let me know, please, down below what you would like to see. Like, comment, subscribe. All my family and friends, you guys are truly amazing. Thank you so much. I hope you all be safe, enjoy those games, and I'll catch you on the next one. Deuce!